a good apology acknowledges the pain that was caused and allows the withdrawer would then allow it to impact them and respond to that pain and show that pain to their pursuing partner.
Connecting couples with the real Emhoffs. Hi, I'm Angela Emhoff.
And I'm Chad Emhoff, and we're the real Emhoffs.
We're diving in here to episode 6 of our series on the anatomy of a repair, what it looks like when there's an injury or a fight or something goes sideways, and how couples can actually do a repair that cleans up the residue that was left because of that fight. And the last episode we dove into kind of the pursuer's world. We think it's really important that we often in our series show these two sides to give you, if you're the pursuer or the withdrawer, the tangible steps to be able to kind of navigate or respond differently in your relationship. And so this episode is the withdrawer's side, not only of what happens in a fight, what parts are yours, but also what it looks like for a withdrawer to be fully engaged in a repair.
That's great. So as we dive into that, I just want to say, we have covered quite a bit of territory. This is the 6th. We've got one more after this, but we've talked about what the injury is, the elements of repair. We've covered why I'm sorry isn't enough, whose responsibility is it to repair, and then, like you just said, the pursuer's world. So here we are with the withdrawer's world, and kind of why sometimes a withdrawer doesn't get it right in repair. And I say get it right, like I'm speaking right to your failure. Sorry, withdrawers. But how we end up failing, why we're doomed. That language. Why we're doomed to fail in this scenario. And so we're going to spend a little time just talking about, like, why does that happen? Why does it go wrong? And when I think about that, I always want to kind of go to the bind. And I'm going to do that first, actually, and just say, you know what, when we're, as a withdrawer, when I see that you're hurt, I initially think, oh, that's my fault. Like my initial response is, I probably messed something up. Wrong. I did something wrong. Well, then
I'm in trouble. That's what you say often.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. I got it wrong. I'm the bad kid who got caught or something. And so I see that pain, and I don't actually believe that I'm the answer. Like, I really don't believe that I'm going to be helpful in this scenario. A lot of times I feel like if I'm the one who hurt you, then I'm probably not the one to help you. And so it ends up literally pulling me out of the room or causing me to shut down or causing me to not really want to engage with that pain.
I hear you kind of saying, I think my best move in that moment where I've upset you or hurt you is to not continue to hurt you by staying present. So I'm going to just let you figure that out, and I'm going to exit stage left.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm going to let you regulate your own emotion, and I'll go regulate my own emotion, and we'll get back together when we're both happy.
And then pursuers get abandoned in their distress, and it's a mess.
Well, and what we just talked about in our last episode about how pursuers, their fear is abandonment. Their fear is not being loved or wanted around these things. And so they get critical or kind of get very pointed to get you to stay, sort of. Yeah. But then when you get critical or pointed and then I go away, it tells you that you're not worth it, right? And that's the pursuer's.
That is the
bind.
cycle.
Yep.
The messages that the cycle sends to us.
And so then you send that message to me, and then the withdrawer's bind is, if I stay, I'm going to hurt you. I've already caused pain here. I don't really know how to stay with or engage with your emotion, and clearly I'm not the thing you need because I'm getting messages that say I'm not. Yeah. Right? So then what do? I go to my own failure. I screwed this up. Something's wrong with me, and I can't stay in the room with you. Yeah. Right? And so the tactics that I take, the moves that I make around that are very predictable, just like a pursuer's moves. I mean, really, criticism, anxious energy, those things that the pursuers do. Withdrawers' moves are all just as predictable. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to shut down, I'm going to go away, I'm going to lock it up, or I'm going to do some form of placating, which is even nastier in some ways, in my opinion. I mean, at least you're in the room, and at least there can be some presence, and maybe there's some hope that it could go forward. But when you placate it, or when you placate like through apology, man, that's just weak. I mean, it's weak. It hurts you. It hurts me. And then it kind of leaves us feeling hopeless again.
I want to kind of acknowledge, though, that just like in the pursuers episode, when we talked about that pursuers have a really hard time acknowledging that they're possibly unsafe or that they won't respond well, I don't think, and this is my perception of a withdrawer, that withdrawers are maliciously placating. I think that withdrawers are really sorry it went bad. they are really sorry that now something they've done has let their pursuer down again. And so I think there is, when you start going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, or when like you kind of said, a pursuer will say, I'm sorry 50 times and really not know why they're sorry or what they even did wrong.
Yeah.
They're saying sorry because they've been taught saying sorry is what you're supposed to do. So they are trying a move, but what I hear you kind of saying in that placating step is that they can't really acknowledge what they did wrong. They might not even think they really did anything wrong. Their pursuer's just crazy. And so that's an interesting distinction. I'm wondering if the withdrawers that are listening would say, I'm not placating, I really am sorry. Or if they could acknowledge, wait a minute, I haven't really taken the time to figure out the depth of what's going on for my partner.
Let me give you like 3 bad examples of I'm
Okay.
sorry, because I like to lead with that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you got hurt. Like that. I'm not acknowledging that I did anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that sucks to be you. That's
Yeah.
basically what that says. Or you know what? Just this. Oh, sorry. Dismissing it, not acknowledging anything.
Yeah.
Right, and then going away.
I've been on the receiving end of both of those kinds of sorries.
I don't know who would have done that to you. Probably she's been married before you guys.
No!
Probably that other guy.
Oh gosh.
Or like I'll come to you and be like, I'm sorry. I don't want us to be like this, and you're like, sorry for what? The good pursuers will do that quite often.
What are you sorry
what
for?
Do you, what do you really? You don't even know what went wrong, Chad. Right? And then that here I am going, now I really don't know what. Now I know I did that wrong. But it really is. It's funny because a withdrawer goes to this I'm sorry, and it can really feel like I just want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not and that is the trick with this, right? If we say a good apology acknowledges the pain that was caused and allows the withdrawer would then allow it to impact them and respond to that pain and show that pain to their pursuing partner. So as a withdrawer, I don't like to and I don't want to stay with pain. I say pain. I try to turn off pain. I try not to feel it, right? It's not that I can't go through painful things. In fact, I think withdrawers are really good at going through pain.
Absolutely.
And that's probably how they learn to turn it off. But it's that a withdrawer tries to turn off that pain, get away from that pain, which then leaves the pursuer saying, you don't get it.
By the way, a pursuer can feel the difference between a sorry that's like, you're not sorry. You're just trying to cover this up and try to make this go away. We feel the difference in, I'm going to say, the sincerity of it, or if you're engaged or you're just pushing it off.
Yeah.
I want to back up for just a second.
Give me that pen for a second. I need to write these thoughts down because I got like 3 things I want to say about this.
I want to back up for just a second and talk about the trick behind some of this ability for a withdrawer to say they're sorry or not is that we talked a little bit about this in this idea in the pursuer episode where we talked about whose fault is the fight. And so a lot of times, because of the way a pursuer's energy manifests in anxiety or critical words, it often feels like the fight is started by the pursuer. It's interesting because a pursuer will say that the fight is started by the withdrawer's behavior. The withdrawer did a thing that made me feel this way, and therefore I had to say it.
Yeah.
And so if it's a tricky thing to go, well, who started this fight? Well, you're the one who attacked me first. Well, you're the one who left the dish. And now there's a little bit of a who did it wrong first. And so it's a hard thing to kind of go, if I want to own my side, I have to know what I did. And I just left a dish, and I don't really feel sorry that I left a dish. So now how do I apologize for that? Because I'm not sorry I left a dish. So here is the I'm sorry from the withdrawer that is trying to make their pursuer feel better, but can't really own a thing they don't feel bad for doing.
Right. It's like,
is that right?
Yes, that is right. I'm just saying, like, and that's so practical. It's like, hey, sorry I left the dish on the counter because I was running late to get to work. That the job that pays for everything we have, that place I was going, and I worked for the last 12 hours, and now I come home and the dish is still there, and you've done 25 other things.
Nope.
I know you do a lot,
No
but that's
sincerity.
That's a terrible apology, right?
You do not see or feel my pain.
But a lot of times a withdrawer does not give that information.
Yeah.
A withdrawer doesn't say, and they'll think it. Withdrawers, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we'll say, oh, pursuers want things to be efficient and be organized and communicated. And it's like, Yeah, everybody does.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not. I'm not making fun of you at all. I'm not at all.
Because we do want things to be efficient and organized.
So do withdrawers. So do withdrawers. Withdrawers have just gotten a different set of skills around it, right? And I'm trying to be honoring. I'm not trying to be mean to you. But
I get it.
But I'm saying like that withdrawers have found ways to ignore the things that they don't think are as important.
Yeah.
The problem is when I ignore the things that you think are important to you, right?
It sends a message to me.
It says that what you think, and it doesn't really, not even what you think.
The things that matter to me
are not important. It says that you're not important.
Absolutely.
It says that you're not important at the end of the day.
It really does.
And so I've gotten good at saying, oh my gosh, I've got to be at work. This is literally our story, like probably 2 mornings
Every
a
day.
week. At least 2. But I'm like, I've got to be at work. And so I'm going to run out the door as quickly as I can. And I leave the house kind of chaotic. And you're like, oh my gosh, this urgency, it's got to get out of the house. Right. And I'm leaving and I'm like, hey, come give me a kiss or something, like tell me you love me.
And I'm like, just leave.
But it's like, there's this urgency around some of this stuff. And so I get super focused on the thing that I need to do. And I don't necessarily believe that you should value me because of that in some ways.
Yeah.
But I believe that I'm probably failing you in some ways, even in doing that. So I'm like, there's this really tough thing. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
I hope it made sense to you.
I think so.
But I'm like, back to what I was thinking about, those kind of 3 points that I mentioned earlier. So if a withdrawer just kind of placates and just kind of says, oh, sorry, right? The funny thing is, this is what happens. So a withdrawer says sorry because they got it wrong, right? And so generally what happens is their shame comes up and they do with shame what they do with shame. They go away. So I'll say, oh, I'm sorry. I failed you again and I must really suck. And so I'll shut down around that if I even start to feel your pain.
Yeah.
Like if you let me into your pain, there's a real risk that I'll just go, and it could like wreck me because I don't know how to stay present.
I get it. I'm bad and I'm probably not what you need here anyway.
It sucks that you hurt, but I don't know what to do with that for myself.
Yeah.
I certainly don't know what to do with it for you. So I'll be outside in the garage or I'll go back to work.
Yeah.
I'll go back and do something where somebody's going to tell me I'm getting it right. The other thing is, if I can't feel the pain as a withdrawer, if I'm not so good at engaging with myself and I'm not so good at like really feeling pain for even myself, then how am I supposed to
bring that forward?
Well, how am I supposed to reflect to you that I get your pain?
Yeah.
Because when I see your pain, it either A, sends me to my own shame and kicks me out,
right.
or B, I'm like, I'm trying to explore what it's like to even feel that way.
Yeah.
So if we have a pursuer who's really articulate, like my wife, or who's got lots of energy, or maybe has a lot of words around emotion, and they bring that forward, and let's say they've done a lot of work. They've been in counseling for years, and they've worked on emotional health, and done all these things. It's like they come forward with this clear message around identity, and I feel overwhelming and yet not enough, and I'm really sad and feel scared and alone and not valued. And you bring all these words forward. Even if I tried to take that in, let's say my shame doesn't kick me out, I don't leave. Even if I try to take it in, I now have to find language or kind of tie together the felt experience of that and stay with it.
Yeah.
It's extremely hard.
Not only hard, I want to talk about the messages that withdrawers or that humans growing up or the experiences we've had as we developed in our life. Withdrawers, some of their strategies have taught them that you need to shut down. That's better than engaging it because it's going to be too painful, or just leave it alone. It'll be better. The pursuer will calm down. We'll be able to come back to this when things are less tense or less anxious. Yeah. Or, in the faith communities, we hear kind of forgive and forget. That is definitely a withdrawer's perspective. Like, why do we have
they're
to...
still mad at you for that. Let that go. Let that go.
Why do we have to bring this stuff up? It's only going to cause more distress. Just go ahead and forgive and forget, and we'll just move on like it never happened. That is not what the human body does. The human body stores the pain because it wants to make sure we don't experience that pain again. So then it starts avoiding things that are similar to that. And before you know it, you have these distant, closed off relationships where we can't bring that pain forward. And that's what Chad and I our hope is that we can start helping couples open up space where we have avoided going before.
Yeah. I want to jump in with that. I use a weed eater a lot. Angela's like, what?
I don't
what
like weed eaters.
What is the story?
They're hard to start, and they're.
I have a nice one now, and it works good. But and thank you that you guys got that for Father's Day.
That was a Father's Day gift.
Practical. but I want to say, like, I have a weed eater, and so, like, when I go out to weed eat, a lot of times I forget to put on safety glasses. You should always wear safety glasses when you weed eat,
And
or
pants,
you run a
not shorts.
chainsaw, or
Yeah.
run a chainsaw. But a lot of times when I'm weed eating, like, my eye closes, it'll blink before I even know that something's coming at it. Like, I don't have to think, close your eye, because there's some piece of grass or rock or stick or something coming at it. Like, I'll blink before the piece gets there, and it's like, it's an instinct. It's a reaction. It's quick. It's not something that I have to, like, process, right? And I don't think, this is how your body responds to
That
this sort of
quickly.
pain. It's like, I am withdrawing and closing my eye before my slow blink has occurred.
My energy is like a rock
Yeah.
flying at your eye.
And I'm like, whoop, eyes closed. I'm not taking that in. I don't know what to do with that kind. And not just your energy, Angela. I really do believe it's actually this emotional pain.
Yeah.
Right? I get so good at closing off that pain so that I can finish the race or finish the weed eating or stay in this relationship. If you want to know the in this context, I get so good at closing it off, closing my eyes to it, that I don't know how to stay engaged with you and how to feel that pain. And so then it leaves us both in this kind of like doomed place where I'm going to fail you in this. There's no way that I don't. And I'm going to leave you alone in it. And even my best efforts to stay engaged, which is like a placating apology, they suck. They're no good. Oh, they're bad. They're bad moves.
As you say that, it makes me not only sad for how hard this is, but sad for couples who truly do care about each other, truly do want to have these deeper bonds, and yet are so trained to avoid, to not talk about it, they don't know how to get in there and do this.
Yeah.
And even these podcasts and even these connect points and even the direction that we're trying to give couples to start talking about it is still foreign and is still bumpy if you try and does still take intentional effort. That's why I think Chad keeps circling back to say, gosh, this is a little bit tricky. And if you're new at this, we really encourage you, go to a seminar, go to a Hold Me Tight, go to Creative for Connection, go to a EFT therapist and really start doing work around your cycle, what it looks like as a withdrawer, what it looks like as a pursuer, what some of your tendencies are, how they affect each other, because there is an opportunity for you to not only bring your pain forward, but there's an opportunity for you as the partner to respond when your partner brings their pain forward that can shift how you do relationship and how secure you feel in your relationship.
Yeah.
It just prompts, this tugs on my heart. This is exactly why we're doing this.
Oh, that's good. I'm tearing up a little bit for a second, but I'm just saying like that this is hard, you guys. And it's not easy for us to stay engaged. It's not easy for us to really take care of each other in moments when we're distressed. And I want to just encourage you guys, try to fight for that. Withdrawers especially. I know that it's not easy, and there's a tendency to want to go to our own shame, our own failure, and then kind of say, oh, I'm sorry. And then the pursuer gets the message, oh, now I'm too much. Now I've shut him down. Or to just kind of throw out a placating, oh, sorry, that doesn't work so well. Or to just shut down and kind of blame them. Like pursuers are pretty good, or withdrawers are pretty good at going to logic too.
Yeah.
I'll write you a note that says 10 reasons why you're wrong. I mean, that's not.
Don't write me that note.
But that doesn't solve the attachment injury. It doesn't solve the wound. It doesn't solve an attachment injury isn't what we're talking about here. But like really we're talking about like, it doesn't fix it.
Yeah.
I haven't taken anything in. I was going to say, and the reason, so withdrawers, man, we do another thing it only takes a couple seconds to talk about actually. But the reason we don't bring pain forward is because we don't think it's going to be responded to. All the reasons we've already given why we don't respond well to pursuers, because of our own shame, because of our tendency to go away from pain.
You, I think, have believed the message that your pain doesn't matter. Nobody wants to hear about your pain. Nobody cares.
Nobody would like it. Right? Nobody, and I don't know how to respond to it. I don't even know what I'd want. So why bring it forward? Yeah. I should just choose joy and stay happy, forgive and forget, happy. Move forward. Tomorrow's a new day. Do what your pursuer's
telling you to do and make them happy.
And it is true that we can move forward in that way, but the problem is we don't really get to. It ends up running us.
Wholehearted for either side.
Well, what's out of our awareness, the things we don't know about ourselves, actually end up running us.
Yeah.
And so that it's easy to say that about a withdrawer, and it's easy to kind of say this is why they don't come forward with their own pain. The problem is it ends up running you, and then you end up bitter and resentful, and you're 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road, and you're getting a divorce after the kids go to college or whatever, and you're like, why did I've wasted 25 years and never talked about a real experience that I have.
Or more, also devastating is if you believe about your partner that they can't respond to your pain, is that there's a potential you're going to go somewhere else to get comfort in those painful places. And so you see a lot of times that's when an affair shows up, or that's when an addiction, or somebody becomes a workaholic or pours themselves into something else that actually comforts them. And so just like in the last episode, the connect point, we kind of took a half step. I mean, this is the same for withdrawal. For withdrawal to be able to say, I want to try a vulnerable move here, I want to try to bring my pain forward. That's huge, and it's scary to engage, or even to not placate, but to engage a conflict to try to resolve it is a dangerous move for a withdrawer.
For sure.
So we're asking you to kind of have a conversation around what that might look like.
Yeah. And so withdrawers have that conversation, come forward and say, this is the thing that happens inside me when I try to talk about this. You may talk about your shame. You may talk about the sense of failure, which is kind of related to shame. But I mean, that would be your half step, is just try to put some words to the reasons we shut down before we go away.
Your job is to be a good listener, and that's all. Don't fix, don't control, don't manage, don't get defensive, don't make it about you.
No coaching anybody up in this
No,
moment.
you really want to try to be safe and just say, man, thanks for sharing. I know this is hard, and we want to try to do better at this. So that's your connect point. We have one more episode left in this series, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
It's great. Thanks, guys.